the Danite false Messiah and the image of the beast. Our text is Daniel chapter 11, verses 38 through 39. But in his estate shall he honor the Elohim of forces and a Elohim whom his fathers knew not. Shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. May he add a blessing to the reading and the hearing of his word. In the scripture of truth, as recorded in Daniel 11, verses 38 through 39, the false Messiah from the tribe of Dan is revealed to be in league with the first beast that is mentioned in Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 through 10. And I bear witness to you tonight, beloved, we're going to be skipping back and forth tonight between Daniel chapter 11 and Revelation chapter 13. And I hope I don't lose anybody in the midst of the crisscrossing back and forth, but we're really going to be analyzing, comparing those two chapters a lot tonight. So keep your finger thumbs ready to turn some pages between chapters 11 of Daniel and chapter 13 of Revelation. And then in Revelation chapter 13, we are going to see how this false Messiah of the tribe of Dan is revealed in Revelation 13 as being in league with the first beast mentioned in Revelation 13. This false Messiah from the tribe of Dan that's recorded in Daniel chapter 11, verse 38 through 39 is in league or in unity or in a unity of confidence with the first beast. And so tonight we're going to deal with that, and we're going to cover a lot of scriptures that reveal more about these passages that sometimes sound more like riddles even than prophecies. And I personally can sympathize with somebody. I think somebody's there napping a little bit, kind of hear you sawing a log or two there on the screen. And certainly we know it's been a long week. So that you must be patient with this study tonight. It's got a lot of things that seem to be more like riddles than anything, so that you and I just have to patiently wade through this to get the full understanding. I couldn't find any shortcuts to take to circumvent what we got to go through tonight, but I believe there is some very important revelation truth here that the Most High really wants us to know about. Not all teaching, preaching is always going to be seemingly just so good initially as you bite into it. But if you just patiently continue to wade in the depths of this scripture, it gets sweeter and sweeter the deeper and deeper you go in it. All right, so we pick up here in Daniel 11, verse 38 through 39, that the false Messiah from the tribe of Dan is revealed to be in league with the first beast in Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 through 10, which reads as thus: And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Now, this first beast we just read about in Revelation 13, verse 1 through 10, is none other than the resurgent Nimrod, who was the founder of the city and Tower of Babel rebellion against Yah, as recorded in Genesis chapter 10, verse 8 through 12, where it states, and Cush begot Nimrod, and he was a mighty hunter before Yahweh. And continue on, wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before Yahweh, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babel. Then we read in Genesis chapter 11, verse 4 through 9 about Nimrod, the resurgent Nimrod. That's the first beast that we just read about in Revelation 11, or Revelation 13, rather. Here in Genesis chapter 11, verse 4 through 9, it speaks of his rebellion at Babel against Yahweh. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the children of Israel builded. And Yahweh said, behold, the city is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, or Babylon, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. According to the Hebraic historical records, such as the book of Jasher, Nimrod was killed by a sword to his head, and is the one referred to in Revelation chapter 13, verse 3, as the one king out of 7 Antichrist kings who will recover from a deadly head wound. Verse 3 of Revelation 13 says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. According to Revelation 17:8, Nimrod, the founder and first king of Babylon, from about 5,000 years ago or more, is unleashed and comes back from the bottomless pit of hell to once again rule over mankind in the latter days of this modern day mystery Babylon America, just as he ruled over all mankind at the Tower of Babel in Genesis chapters 10 and 11. Verse 8 of Revelation chapter 17 says this of him: the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Nimrod is the beast king that was, he once was back in the days of the Tower of Babel, and he is not. He was killed with a sword to his head, according to the book of Jasher. But he shall ascend from the bottomless pit of hell to rule the earth for 42 days, which are 3.5 prophetic years, as recorded in Revelation chapter 13, verse 5, when this will occur in the latter days. Verse 5 of Revelation chapter 13 says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. The phrase in Revelation chapter 13, verse 5, if you notice, it says, he shall continue. Now, if it says he shall continue, that means he once was a ruler that lost his rulership, but now his rulership has been restored to continue in the latter days. So the phrase that he shall continue, that's used in verse 5 of chapter 13 of Revelation, means his rulership that he once had at the Tower of Babel over all mankind in ancient times. His power of rulership will continue, but in this time, his rulership will be based in modern Babylon of America. So this is why these very esoteric to interpret scriptures are so important to know, because there may be evil right up under your nose and you can't see it to know how to deal with it. Even right now, we see there's confusion in Washington, D.C. who's going to be the Speaker of the House. I've never seen that before. The scriptures already tell us in the book of Jeremiah that before we leave this country, there will be a civil war, a second civil war that's coming to this country. And it will bring it down and make it become the victim of a hostile government takeover by Nimrod. That's coming. So I don't know whether this current situation that we see happening this week in Washington is that time that leads up to the appearance of Nimrod. I don't know, but I can say this for sure, it bears watching. And then we read, according to historical records, as documented in the book, The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, a book which I highly recommend you buy. I know this man, Alexander Hislop, was a racist, but nonetheless, you know how to glean and from it and sift through it and eat the meat and spit out the bone, because there's definitely some bone in that book. But the information that he has is useful for interpreting about the details of Nimrod that are well documented in the book, The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. Alexander Hislop shows records that Nimrod's ancient worship name was Saturn, or which in ancient Chaldean language was pronounced as Thor, of which the letters of this name numerically equal 666, as is referred to in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18, as the name and number of the first beast in Revelation 13, which states in verse 8 of Revelation 13, verse 18 of Revelation 13, Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. All right. Now, as we go back to Daniel chapter 11, verse 36, we see that the coming Danite, false Messiah that we explained last week, this king described in Daniel 11, verse 36, is a false Messiah king from the tribe of Dan. And he's described as the willful king. He does and prosper in his wickedness for a time. And he will be a future king in Israel, but he will be a supporter and promoter of Nimrod worship. In other words, he's a sellout. This coming false Messiah of the tribe of Dan, he is the one of whom our father Jacob warned us to beware of in his prophecy of the Israelites in the latter days, in Genesis chapter 49, verse 17 through 19, which he says, Dan, that is out of Dan, Dan shall be a serpent by the way. That's the tribe of Dan. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that biteth the horse heel, so that its rider shall fall backwards. I have waited for thy salvation, O Yah. Jacob prophesied that he would wait for Yah's salvation, which in Hebrew is pronounced as Yahshua, who would defeat and personally destroy the Danite false Messiah at Armageddon in the day of the second coming of Yahshua. Saints, beloved, the time's getting late. The time is getting late. We really need to keep our eyes abreast and ears abreast to hearing what the word of Yah has got to say to us. Times are moving fast. Now, this Danite false shepherd, described in Daniel 11, verse 36 and 37, will be a hater of both Yah the Father and Yahshua the Son. It says, verse 36, and the king, speaking of the Danite king, he shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every Elohim, and shall speak marvelous things against the Elohe of Elohim, the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the Elohim of his father, nor the desire of women, nor regard any Elohim, for he shall magnify himself above all. 1 John chapter 2, verse 22 calls this false Israelite shepherd the Antichrist. It says in verse 22 of 1 John 2, who is a liar, but he that denieth that Yeshua is the Messiah? He is Antichrist that denieth the Father and the Son. Likewise, in Revelation chapter 13, the first beast king, Nimrod, is also described as a blasphemer of Yah and is likewise a Antichrist. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Elohim to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Revelation chapter 13, verse 6. Also, the Danite Israelite false Messiah, he is a Antichrist also. So the Antichrist is more than just one person. The Antichrist is more than just one person. In this case, it's the resurgent Nimrod. He's an Antichrist. Anyone that denies the Father and the Son is Antichrist. And certainly this Danite Israelite that will become a king in Israel, he likewise hates the Father and the Son. So they're both Antichrist spirit. Also, the Danite Israelite false Messiah in Daniel chapter 11, verse 36 through 37 is likewise called the foolish shepherd in Zechariah chapter 11, verse 15 through 17, where it states, And Yahweh said unto me, take unto thee yet the instruments of a foolish shepherd. For lo, I will rise up a shepherd in the land, which shall not visit those that be cut off, neither shall seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that standeth still. But he shall eat the flesh of the fat and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. This Danite ruler of the tribe of Dan will be a foolish shepherd of the Israelites, because he will make a defense treaty between Israel and Nimrod, the first beast, of whom it was said concerning Nimrod. And they worshiped, it said in verse 4 of chapter 13 of Revelation, and they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? This military defense pact that the foolish Danite shepherd sets up between Israelites and Nimrod, the first beast, is called by Isaiah the prophet a covenant with death and hell in Isaiah chapter 28, verse 14 through 15, which states, wherefore, hear the word of Yah, you scornful men that rule this people, which in Jerusalem, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves. Yah says that this covenant that the Danite king makes for a defense of Israel by the beast king Nimrod, this is all done by the Danite king as a pretext for Nimrod to betray and invade and take over Israel. He is therefore in league with the devil's plan through Nimrod, even to sell out his own people into the hands of Nimrod, into a covenant or defense pact that is called in Isaiah an agreement with death and hell. Therefore, Yah says in Isaiah 28, verse 18, regarding the Israelite defense pact that the foolish shepherd deceives Israel to make with Nimrod, the beast. Yah says he will disannul that contract. Verse 18 of chapter 28 of Isaiah says, and your covenant with death shall be disannulled, and your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then you shall be trodden down by it. This Danite, false Messiah king in Daniel 11, verse 36 through 37, is further described in Revelation chapter 13, verse 11 through 18, as the second beast, who emerges out of the land of Israel and who supports the first beast, Nimrod. Verse 11 of Revelation chapter 13, it states, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that it should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, this wicked second beast in Revelation 13:11 is said to emerge out of the land of Israel. The word land in verse 11 of chapter 13 of Revelation is a better translation than the word earth. When you look at that verse in context to the description of this false prophet, Danite king in Daniel 11, verse 36 through 37, who arises to power out of the land of Israel. He will be the dragon's false prophet in sheep's clothing. As it says in verse 11 of Revelation 13, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. He will be a future king in Israel who will be a supporter and promoter of Nimrod worship. And he will use miracle powers that Satan will give the first beast, that Satan will also give to this second beast. Because the first beast, it says in Revelation 13:4, and they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with the beast? This is because the devil gives the first beast, Nimrod, power, some sort of military power or technology that may be greater than what we know of that they're using in the world today with these nuclear type weapons. That there'll be another technology that none of the nations have, that this first beast, Nimrod, will have. And then we also know that based on in Revelation 13, verse 12, it says of the second beast, who is the Danite king in Daniel chapter 11, verse 36, he too gets the same satanic powers that the first beast got from the dragon, from Satan. Because it says in verse 12 of chapter 13 of Revelation concerning the second beast, who is the Danite king in Daniel chapter 11, verse 36, it says in Revelation 12 of him, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. This Danite king uses these satanic powers to deceive Israelites, to worship the image of Nimrod, the first beast, which will lead up to the mark of the beast, as is shown in Revelation chapter 13, verse 13 through 18. And it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Regarding the Danite king of Daniel 11:36, his satanic miracle powers that are described in Revelation 13, verse 13, are also described in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9 through 12, which says regarding his powers that he uses, will be a tool of Satan to deceive people away from the truth. Reading from 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9 through 12, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. For this cause, Elohim shall send them strong delusion. You know, delusion doesn't only mean that they are deceived. It means their means or comprehension to discern is limited. In order that it says here in verse 11 of chapter 2 of 2 Thessalonians, it says that they might believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. One satanic miracle that this Danite Antichrist does is described in Revelation 13:13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So that's one of the lying works and wonders that 2 Thessalonians describes, that he does. He brings fire from heaven, like Elijah the prophet, to make him, Satan wants to make him look like he's a true prophet of Yah, and to use this man to cause the Israelites to turn to the devil. You know, the devil works overtime to make Israelites fall, because you're the only nation that he knows is going to bring him down. No other nation is going to bring him down, because out of your nation comes the king of kings who will bring Satan down. So you the nation, he does all kind of things to deceive and mislead, and will continue to increase it even more in the last days, where this Israelite has powers. He's a sellout, but he does powers that will make other Israelites think he's the power of Yah. But he himself is a devil in sheep's clothing. Now, the second satanic miracle that this false shepherd does, that is described in Revelation chapter 13, verse 14 through 15. Here's the second lying wonder of Satan that he does. He deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. This second satanic miracle in Revelation 13:15 that causes the statue or image of Nimrod, the first beast, to come to life. This is the second miracle that is recorded, which the willful king in Daniel 11, verse 36 through 37 does to deceive Israelites to worship Nimrod. Some people say, oh, that can't never happen. Well, you'd be surprised. I got a brother just told me the other day in Pittsburgh. There was one sister that used to come on this study some time ago, over a year or so ago. And this sister stopped coming into this study, which is fine. I'm not a master over where y'all leads you to go, so I don't go out hunting or hold hard feelings or grudges. If somebody feels that the Ruach is moving them somewhere else, all I can say, Yah be with you and bless you, because I'm not the master of Yah's sheep, he is. So I didn't really hold anything against that she left, but there was the way she left. She left because she lost her faith in Yahshua, and we teach Yahshua here. So she left for that reason. So she went to another group that didn't believe in Yahshua. And guess what? I just found out a few days ago, she left that group And I asked the brother who was telling me this, I said, brother, why did she leave them? He said, she done gone to Kemet now. I said, Kemet? You mean she gone into Egyptology? He said, yeah, so she don't believe nothing about the Bible. So you see, she being the last person I would have thought could have broke that way. But you'd be surprised how possible it is to be deceived, even like we see here in this text, where Israelites can end up worshiping an idol. I mean, Israelites have that MO to do that. I mean, we just read the Bible and can see that. When they came out of Egypt after seeing all the great wonders of Yahweh, what did they do? They went and built the golden calf to worship. So you see, Israelites are very capable. They can sound good one day and the next day they go away. That's the way Israelites have been. And this is an example of it in the latter days that we're reading about here in chapter 13 of Revelation. So this second miracle is interesting, that the false shepherd of Daniel 11:38 through 39 does. That we read the second miracle that he does is cause an inanimate object, a statue, image of the first beast, the image of Nimrod, to come to life and to speak. Not only does it move, it can talk and reason. Now, what in the world are we talking about here? Is it symbolic? Some people want to make this symbolic, but we'll show you why. It's literally something that will happen, just as it says. See, this is what we see in Daniel chapter 11, verse 38 through 39 about this second Danite king and this image of the beast. It says, verse 38 of chapter 11 and 39 of Daniel. But in his estate shall he honor the Elohim of forces, the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. In verse 36 of Daniel 11, it says this Antichrist, Danite king, will not honor any God. And particularly it says in verse 37 of Daniel 11, that this Danite king will not honor Yah, the Elohim of his fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, nor will he honor the Messiah, Yeshua, who was the one that ancient Israelite women desired to give birth to, and thereby be the mother of the Messiah, which is phrased in verse 38 or verse 37 of Daniel 11, that he shall not regard the desire of women, which is Messiah, that Israelite women all desired to give birth to. However, in verse 38 of Daniel 11, it says he will honor a new God that his fathers never knew of. That sounds like an Israelite. It says it's a God whom his fathers knew not, shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things. This is that image that he made that's recorded in Revelation chapter 13, verse 15, is reporting on the same person that we read about here in Daniel chapter 11 and verse 38. He made an image that he brought to life, and he honors the image that he made. You know, that's the thing, Israelites, I would say, you all worship things that you made. You make idols that you worship as your Elohim, but you were the one that made it. You see how confused Israelites can become? Like the prophet Isaiah said, you all cut some wood and make an idol and say, this is my Elohim. Then the rest of the wood you throw in the fire to cook your food with. That's Israel. Do you think Israel's really changed a lot since then? I bet we'd be surprised to see, because the Bible says we're going to give in. Now, this man made the image. He brought life to it. Now he's worshiping it. You see, this is an Israelite person here. And it's an image that his fathers never knew. It says in Deuteronomy chapter 68, verse 34, it speaks of Israelites as this Danite king who leave the true worship of Yah and turn to serve other gods our forefathers never knew, where it says in Deuteronomy 68, verse 4, in the second clause, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Well, that's what this king in Daniel 11 is doing. He made an image that he's now honoring and worshiping. Before that, he wasn't worshiping any god. He was an atheist. But now he made something that he said, oh, this is worth worship. Because he comes back to life. The devil gives him power to animate. According to Revelation 13, verse 15, when this lying Hebrew king does these things by the power of Satan to bring to life the inanimate statue image of Nimrod, the first beast, then will he cause it to be honored and worshiped. This new God he creates is called in Daniel 11:38, the God of forces, which in Hebrew is Al-Ma'uzim. Al, which means God, Ma'uzim, strength, fortresses. Ma'uzim, meaning the Elohim of fortresses. This Al-Ma'uzim that he honors and worships is in reality Satan himself, who gives this ruler the power to bring the image of the first beast to life. And this is a lying work of and wonder of Satan himself, as described in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, where it speaks of this king, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Daniel chapter 11, verse 38 through 39 says, this false prophet, king of the tribe of Dan, will worship and honor this animated idol image with treasures and glory. And he shall command the whole world to worship this satanic idol, according to Revelation 13:15, or be killed if you don't. For it says in verse 15 of Revelation 13, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That power he's using is after the power and the lying wonders of Satan. He had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. This is a God whom his fathers knew not, yet he shall honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things, as it says in Daniel 11, verse 38 through 39. According to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 19 through 20, it states that behind every idol is a demon. So the statue or the images that people worship, like some people got Buddha statues in their houses or this and that. They don't realize there's a demon that goes along with that Buddha statue, because it's an item of worship. It's an item to honor. So, I mean, just putting a Buddha in your house as a souvenir, you may be getting more than a souvenir. You may be getting a demon in there. And be careful, some of these artifacts people buy from African artwork. Some of them are demons. I live near a town called Wamuni in Kenya, where those people were big into witchcraft. And their idols they made, and they would sell them here to American people, use it for decor in their house. You don't realize there's a demon come right with that idol. Be careful. So verse 19 of 1 Corinthians says, what say I then, that the idol is anything or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything. Verse 20 of chapter 10 of 1 Corinthians. But I say that the things with the Gentile sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to Elohim. And I would not that you should have fellowship with demons. In this case of the idol god Al-Ma'uzim in Daniel 11, the god of forces is none other than Satan himself and not a demon. So this means this idol is being empowered by the devil himself. He doesn't send a surrogate demon to work behind that idol. And then we read in the other places about this demonic way of animating an inanimate object. In mystical Judaism sorcery called Kabbalah or Zoharism, rabbis employ a satanic ritual that allegedly can bring to life an inanimate statue, which they call a golem, which emerges as a defense combatant against the enemies of the Jews. This is why in Daniel 11:39, it says, thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. He honors Satan and his power through the image of the beast, because according to Daniel 11:39, this living image of the beast is a manifestation of Satan's power as Al-Ma'uzim, the god of forces. This Danite ruler harnesses to use in his wars against the mighty strongholds of enemy nations that he fights and defeats. And he sells and divides the conquered lands that he defeats for gain, as it says in verse 39 of Daniel 11, thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. It is evident that this Danite king in Daniel 11, verse 38 through 39, will be involved with rabbinical Kabbalah Zohar sorcery of the rabbis, which is actually centered around Nimrod worship, such as the six-pointed star, which is also a sign in the Masonic lodge. Let's look at this process of the golem that was used reportedly by a rabbi in Prague, Czechoslovakia in the 1500s. And actually, there was a movie called The Golem, a silent movie, which was made in 1915, which shows the rabbinical process. They could bring a stone image to life, just like what we read about tonight, that this image that the Danite king honors and glorifies in Daniel 11 is the same image that he causes life to come to in Revelation chapter 13, verse 15. Now, the story of this silent movie, I'm gonna just show you a brief clip of it. The story of this silent movie is based around a historical legend from the 16th century, how a Jewish rabbi animated an inanimate object, just like what we read about tonight. He animates an inanimate object through the mystical Zohar Kabbalism. He animates to life the image of a statue in order, using forbidden incantations from the religious Jewish witchcraft called Kabbalism, which is forbidden according to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 20, verse 31. Jewish Kabbalism rites will be used by the second beast called the false prophet in Revelation 13:15 for animating to life the image or statue of the first beast. This false prophet king in Daniel 11:36 will worship Satan, and Satan himself will empower this wicked king to bring to life the image of the first beast. This is why Israelites should not convert to Judaism, because if you convert to Judaism, you will have to go through a course where you will be taught the forbidden wizardry of the Kabbalah. And you will have to sign off that you have accepted and converted to Judaism, which includes you signing off that you have accepted this forbidden demonism of Judaism. Stand by. I want to show you this clip briefly, just to show you actually what we're really talking about. So it doesn't just seem like a bunch of words I'm saying, but you can actually see the reality of the demonstration in this movie from 1950, a silent movie. Stand by. That's the golem, inanimate object. Okay, you see him holding a 5-pointed star. That's a pentagram. That's the symbol for Satan. All right, because that's the power that's going to bring that image to life. All right. Now, if you notice up here on his upper side, that's a 6-pointed star on his forehead. You see that? The 6-pointed star? That's the sign and the symbol of the Antichrist, the first beast, Nimrod. It's called a hexagram, which you get the word 666 from, on his forehead, on that head regalia. So you see, they were telling us and showing us exactly what these people do. That second beast, the willful king in Daniel 11, will actually employ this technique that was used by this legendary rabbi of Prague, Czechoslovakia, back in the 1600s. Remember, they had the mark and the number of the beast in their foreheads. That's the devil imparting to him that power. So you see, this is an example of how Jewish mystical Kabbalism and Zoharism, how they literally bring life through that ceremony. Many have tried, there was only one that was recorded to have actually done this. And this is that ceremony that we read in Revelation 13:15, that the second beast will actually do that ceremony to bring an inanimate object for life and cause everybody to worship it. And this is that Al-Ma'uzim idol that is in Daniel chapter 11, that the king there was also the second beast in Revelation 13:15 that brings this to life. And he honors that image that Satan gave him power to bring to life. Well, Yeshua says in Revelation 2:9, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them. See, Yeshua tells Israelites to beware of the synagogue of Satan, where the satanic ceremony of the golem is implemented by the Danite king in Daniel 11, verse 36 through 39, which is described also in Revelation 13:15 as the image of the beast that comes to life. Yeshua says in Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Do you know, you'd be surprised how some Israelites are already starting to dabble into this stuff, this Zoharism. And in fact, you'd be surprised. There's this one guy, well known, don't believe in Yeshua, but he claims to be Torah only, based out of New York. He got a lot of people who he's teaching language, Hebrew language, but he's also teaching them this, Zoharism and Kabbalism. There was a Hebrew, as I reported last week, out of Israel that I knew and was a friend of some of the people from Israel that used to come on this platform with us a couple of years ago. And they since left when I refused to allow that man or his wife to come in teaching Hebrew, because they claim they're teaching you Hebrew, but they're going to end up teaching you some of this other stuff, this Zoharism and Kabbalism. And you'll be surprised how some Israelites are just being deceived by this. And I can already see, as extreme as this was that we just looked at, how Israelites are gradually falling into these problems. Yeshua says also in Revelation 3, verse 9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. That is, this golem thing all comes out of the synagogue of Satan. This is where it comes out of the Talmud. It comes out of the Zohar, the Kabbalah. Yeshua is saying, I know about what they do who say they are Jews and they're not. They're the synagogue of Satan because they're working in, as you saw in that clip, they're working in the powers of Satan. Literally working in the powers of Satan. And they say they are Jews, but you can tell if they're into that, they really are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet and to know that I have loved you. Hallelujah.